Dhargye Jonan Lai Janjo Bando Dani Gyalzo Dhargye Chigurun Jibe Chonam Gyen Lola Benje Sangyen Robarai Dhargye Jonan Lai Janjo Bando Dani Gyalzo Dhargye Chigurun Jibe Chonam Gyen Lola Benje Sangyen Robarai Soye Jonan Lai Janjo Bando Dani Gyalzo Dhargye Chigurun Jibe Chonam Gyen Lola Benje Sangyen Robarai
Simje Dhargye to Tosa Lama Yangda So Ye Kongho Zhaba Tishi Tambi Shue Senye Guru Shengri Sum Shema Tse that same
I would like to remind every one of ourselves here to take a moment and cultivate bodhicitta motivation or the altruistic motivation seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. With that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta motivation, we should participate in this discourse on mind training or thought transformation.
Ale, ore, da. Kaji keza dini mata tandri karsa, tenjo nika kati. Karsa ti jugo nika, drivugo nika, seta ti pet bangudo, keza di kanta jugo nika ti dora wa.
No.
Ta tiri ma, eni da karsa, drivugo nika se ti ma.
No, sir. So last week, we talked about quite a bit about the rarity and difficulty in finding precious human life or fully endowed human form. The human life that's characterized by 18 enriching factors or qualities. And as I explained to you, that we can look at that from different perspectives. From causal point of view, in other words, what are the kind of necessary causes that we must create to be able to find this kind of precious human life, which is very meaningful, very rare and difficult to find over and again. But we can also look at it from the exemplary point of view, and we can also look at from the resultant point of view. So that's where we left off last week, and now we'll continue from where we left off. As I always do, allow me to read about a couple of pages from Mind Training Like the Rays of the Sun, Lojong Nyime Veser in Tibetan. From page 25, to give you the blessing of lineage oral transmission, followed by explanation.
Chabara danger tony tambi chula loka shobani mo karma tandi shabara shela wata tongse jini gir rinpoche tabi Yingbulin to go to Manaje, Gula Tea, La Yingbulin Lu Jang, Chiratambi Shudo, the Wadi, the women, the Visher, Gujan, Newsman, Washington. She said there was a giving, Dancy, and Nagi, Tinju, some of them, the Visher, Joshimi goes to the show. Chamurte Shiman Dinde, Tindraji, Grishan, Lord Dawashi, Shimana, Drubi, Shamana, the Tayan Shaman, Shiwangi, Nanjing, when we say about the Nimbo Lemana, Nanija. So you said, Boshi, Commercial, Yero, Show, Zotamba, the Sun is. Changju sim chong ge ngun zhe yan la de zhi ba xiao wo nie ba zhen de ren de me de wa xiao me da ba sim be shi la 修我马上些马真别你们的结果的去碰着他们些碰着他们些早啊些为去做什么的。小不到我上有个上学光把这些被朋友呢提这里头当就这边我就不小小。小没到我什么太阳呢？在地里龙着你都说了不少别忘给我得当完找了找我就问你，啷个一马上小了找我因别的这呢叫啊，这结我面的我看见那我领养给你怎么叫我他们去小的嘛的老找不着去。这些各方面我讲几点前面动这把马上我敲没打吧，马上我敲就把这敲就把这地位，第三呢第三这呢些个人没打我这下有些这个敲没打吧，是没最后呢就是小时候那么些下面有什么气味，这些嘛都跟讲没东北所以说。他们的祈祷，我们的律是这些人讲，希望连的，希望的满地的从来，看呀上街上上街南街，你的讲讲古律的那本身那就被我们就会写所有杭州那些希望的满地的听你。康定的那些民族别少少的那要问的把那拉面家做的那面就我那些手就就那面结束，对南街讲些小的嘛的，对南街讲什么的嘛的嘞。兄弟兄弟把些把工业类的电能找我到这个就把黑白到街的去了，你讲也不是小些数，写到了这把没得些健康改造到对别业务的大把里边呢，小心的为什么少啊？担保你不他妈的毛细胞那个。偏没把心头这把心头都把些那些难了人了这个就之前落的咋当心开我当应该当老么当街当时就说叫用不当街什么大叫我呢就别这帮到街到把我拿去到把我这当我的面呢都把老么呢就是的现在就是不些我的到我的老就别说我到底到我这等我当面呢就到把老么呢些更些那搞的那么都说都我就是搞呢他的爸爸就行我那我呢你们不就行我姑爸你不能做当就行小的说了就行对不对这当年们就别追我到就到我就到这当我当面呢就到把老们都写说在底下个的那个的地方上只不过你搞的了吧只不过你搞的在这些就是你说什么的什么的呢som ta we ni ro som ta we ro ni mang la an thuri gi ten tha ba de nyung cha ba thuri gi ten le ya mu gu ma je da che wa ten de je nyung cha ba ten ju ta ni tam bi shue lo ga sho ba ni mu ka ma zan de ni mu ka ma ni xie ba xie la ta da zong xie yin yi ga ye ten ju ru bu xie ta bi tu yin guo liang du过他们结果了，他这个感觉，只不过呢，是的，他这个，嘛，就啥子呢？就嘛，忙了，还是什么？只不，一直当主要是这个呢，这个地方呢，人生子的忙，主要忙不睡觉的是，你推这个店里面的用没需要嘛的是，你这个地呢，他每那样天气都是从没有被热吧要嘛的话，现在这里天气就是上，这两天我先不需要的，结果这个现在公布的是，现在。这上场， Today, Gombo Yimbe, any Jusian or Yobo Sanche, in the said the Liata, 30 top and don't want to machine machine. In England, somebody can shoot Shibuya, they show what you saying.
Geshe read from page 25 of Mind Training Like the Rays of the Sun to page 27, and he stopped there to give us the blessing of lineage oral transmission. We're back to page 25. Those of you who have this English translation in your hand, the caption reads, "Contemplation of the rarity of finding such a human life according to the difficulty of obtaining the result." Just to simplify it, we are contemplating how difficult it is to find precious human life from resultant perspective or point of view. And as Geshe explained, that all kinds of rebirths, good or bad, are the outcomes of different causes and conditions. And when we look in terms of rebirths in the 6 realms of existence, those who are born in the unfortunate states of rebirth, in terms of even statistics of the number, there are too many. And how many people have been reborn in the good states as humans and divine beings? Relatively speaking, these are fewer in number as compared to those who are in the bad migrations or unfortunate states of rebirth. Now again, among humans, not all human beings are necessarily the ones who have achieved what we call precious human life, characterized by 18 enriching factors. So there are very few among human beings who have what is we call precious human life or fully endowed human form with 18 enriching qualities or the factors. And so having found such a wonderful precious human life, which is very rare to find in general and rare among the human beings, as you can see. And we are also very fortunate that we have met with qualified gurus and the discourse of Mahayana. And so having found all these wonderful resources, that we should make up our mind to make best use of this precious human life, so that we can make this life really meaningful. This life is meaningful to begin with, and it's very difficult to find this kind of life over and again, but we have found it here, which are the results of many necessary causes and conditions that we have already created. And so therefore, it is important for us to make up our mind that we are going to make best use of this human life, so that when the time comes for us to say goodbye, we don't have to go empty-handed. That we are able to kind of feel fortunate that we have done our best to make use of this wonderful precious human life. As Geshe recalls from his memory, in a sutra, in a Buddha, talked about how rare and difficult it is to find good rebirth. And the examples he used are those who are reborn from the fortunate states of rebirth into the unfortunate states of rebirth. There are as many, as Buddha said, the sand grains of the Ganges. There are too many to count. And this is how beings in the unfortunate states of rebirth are too many. whereas those who are fortunate to be able to come out of the unfortunate states and achieve the good rebirth, they are very few, and Buddha said they are as few as the dust you can pick up on the fingertip. So that tells us how rare and difficult it is to find precious human life, which we have found, and we should be very grateful for that. And as often we hear people say that there are 7 billion of us human beings in this world. Yeah, that seems like a big number, 7 billions, isn't it? Now compare that number to the insects. Forget about all kinds of insects, just the ants, right? If you go to any country, you see the ant hills. There could be more than 7 billion ants right there, right? And that is the, comparison statistic. We can see that human life in general is very rare and difficult, right? And those who have achieved precious human life is even much rarer. So therefore, this kind of a life which we have is not an outcome of by accidents or random. It is an outcome and result of creating necessary positive causes and conditions, and having done that and having achieved this precious human life, we should appreciate it, we should cherish it, and then we should make best use of it to fulfill a greater purpose. So as we contemplate how greatly meaningful this precious human life is, and the great potentiality it has to be able to accomplish spiritual goals, yet it is very rare and very easy to lose, And I made a very simple comparison. 7 billion human beings seems like a lot, but compared to the ants, not all insects, we are very fewer in number, isn't it? Now, of course, there are many more sentient beings in the hell, in the hungry ghosts. Of course, we don't see them, so we're not going to go and count them. We can't do that, but we don't have to. Just the insects in this world are many more times than the human population. And so then even among human beings, those who have some kind of the disabilities, because you can't see, or because for what other things, then it's again very difficult for them to engage fully in spiritual study and practice. And then among 7 human beings, how many are honestly interested in engaging in spirituality, right? Those who are believers and non-believers, okay? I think believers are fewer in number than the non-believers, isn't it? Then among the believers, those who are fortunate to be able to meet Mahayana discourse or teaching and engage in the study and practice, that's even fewer in number. Okay, so when you contextualize, how fortunate your life is in this multiple contexts, then you can deeply appreciate the precious human life that you have, and then make sure that we don't go empty-handed later on, so that we make best use of this life through spiritual study and practice. So these things we just talked about are not something very difficult to understand intellectually. Maybe we already know these things, isn't it? So the point here is not that you know about this, or you have thought about this once or twice. As we Americans would say, that doesn't cut it. We have to contemplate these things over and again, so that it really affects insights at a gut level, emotionally, so that it really affects some changes within. So we really mean that, okay, I understand these things, I've studied this thing many times, but somehow still it has not inspired us to practice, as best as we could. So which means, something has stayed at the intellectual level, those of us who already know about these things. Now we have to contemplate over and again about these qualities and how fortunate we are, how greatly meaningful our life is, and how rare and difficult this kind of life is, how easy to lose, so that through the power of familiarity, intimacy, that it deeply affects in our mind, so that we said, okay, now this is a high time for me to be able to do my best to practice, to study and practice Dharma.
Gaden langdor tsuhi gewa duya dunga dikpa poya tinili wado tipo to hien sheda tabi sheda yomaris sheda tisonda any Gaden langdor shigube gizen tires ta gaga dewa dewa dunga me dewa so haku koshe tatil mambo jidela ta dewa do je dewa judo me dunga do je dunga jus pipo me she tide gona any corner ta do be to me chamya gizen de sharawa the Tata did Tejo Tense Karsa Tabe Shell Langdor Hakoni, any Telia Dea Yukari, but the Nebon Kane Yungu, the Yaga Hako Shen. He Hako Namju of the Tejo in the Rio Inza. Any Telia, any Karsa, Sazapshi Karsa. No, or Saza Shogore. Saza Shogore, the drop to the Vesana. Drop to is Carson, the end of sound was so younger, Tejo, any picket should use give us a should do a 2 year today, give it any should do with 2 years and a son comes that any called drop to you did sound your no. But today the young social pay on woman's on to watch in the young almost on the big in the matter of the 2 year punct, I did go should do to the other person also and you gonna die drop to a dipicate. So Patiado do Tosa to this. But the Sanjay, Dagger Sanjay Tonda. And the chances was the Mambushi, Zika, of the Chipachi, Tomokolia, Sanjay, in the chances by Gay or Marwa. No. Sanjay, so don't put someone in the country. Yeah. Sanjia, you're a song to Doldua. No, that because drop toward the Yashisha, Tigal, Yashu, with Aumaja Jumanda, Lonely Gates, I guess, in what you would say, it was so ma, Pashum than the of Marva. No, but he curse up. That the Sabian Medua, Ribbon Bashel, no, said the Keva Missija, Joshima, no land songs, but the Kajikata gave us a Church had the Yungo Kare, the Bandu Shire, the Shushin, the younger mother, but they Munia Yomaris, Kajita, Church had liberty a lot of decoration.
So, what we are talking about here is having found this, very beneficial, very meaningful, precious human life with all the enriching factors, we should make up our mind to be able to use it in the most meaningful way, which is through the study and practice Dharma. Of course, there are all kinds of practices that one can engage in, but in a general sense, having found this wonderful, precious human life, we should engage in spirituality or Dharma. Okay? And why? Is because everybody wishes for happiness. Okay? Happiness comes out of positive causes. So Dharma is a source of happiness. And nobody wants any kind of pain and misery. Yeah? And so therefore, we must not create the causes, negative causes that bring us pain and misery. Yeah? And in general, maybe there are a lot of people who are still very ignorant about, right? Everybody wishes for happiness, but they are chasing, suffering, as if they're creating all the things and doing all the things that bring them just the opposite of what they want, misery, not the happiness they are seeking. Yeah? Now, we have been very fortunate to study Dharma. So based upon our Dharma knowledge, so we have some sense of the practice of abandonment and cultivation. What needs to be abandoned? What we must not do? Negativities, right? Create the causes of suffering. What we must adopt or do, we should create positive actions, right? And this will bring forth happiness. So we also are very fortunate that we have the intellectual ability to understand and process, these distinctions, isn't it? Good and the bad. And what is the cause of happiness? What is the cause of suffering that we must not create? And we have, if we look at our life, that because our life is characterized by 18 qualities, that we have fulfilled both the favorable conditions from our side as well as the external favorable conditions that allows us to be able to engage in the study and practice of Dharma. We have been fortunate to be able to meet with qualified teachers, which is a very favorable condition for study Dharma. We have the intellect and the ability to be able to engage in the study and practice Dharma. And so we should deeply understand these things and make up our mind to engage in practice. So by thinking about these things, we boost our spirit and confidence level, right? So that we don't have these lame excuses. Oh, I'm kind of old, well, I'm not that smart, intellect. So, well, this is kind of too hard, Because thinking those things will only let us down because we are underestimating our own abilities to study and practice. We have to boost up our spirit, our confidence level, so that we are very fortunate indeed with this precious human life and meeting with the qualified teachers on Dharma, that yes, we can practice Dharma, right? There's no reason why we cannot practice Dharma, because these are the favorable conditions, okay? And we don't have any handicaps to do that. So as Geshe said, that when we look at all the enlightened beings and bodhisattvas in whom we go for refuge, they are not enlightened beings and bodhisattvas from primordially, isn't it? They have become bodhisattvas. They have become enlightened beings or Buddhas. Once upon a time, they are just like us, very deluded, afflicted individuals, isn't it? So they change the course of thinking and action, so therefore they have become bodhisattvas, enlightened beings. So too, we too can become a bodhisattva and Buddha. So this is how we should, encourage ourselves, boost up our spirit. As great Sakya Pandita said in his spiritual poetry, and Geshe cited from his memory, he said that we should engage in a practice now because we don't know if we are going to be alive by tonight, isn't it? And if we engage in a practice, if the life comes to end by tonight, we have already created a deposit of positive action, for our next life, and we can draw from that positive bank, isn't it? We already created, we already invested in our future bank, and we can withdraw from that. But if we kind of engage in mundane affairs, life comes to an end, snaps it, right? Then we have nothing left. Yeah.
Giva droto goya re shas that the unit came alana any that the Kiwa young and me and the Shishum Eddie doesn't do it to get near down. She did only Eddie unit came alana the younger at the using shade of Marata. You just said something on the lady Kale and Torta to big on the rock. That lady came to try is she to go to the sack is that in could lead Kadusa, the Giovanni Kadusa, the Miguel Kadusa, Yemi, and you Kadejimi, did it then Kadesa, did they try to watch in the sun in Yashi in Silver Mother? She does you give us do the Ocean was a Miguel doing Jumadi on the realm total and toward the this said the workers are. Thomas is not like a dear, because it said the Dangzi the doing it, you just. Muslim to Oris. Joashi make you did any repair door to Oris.
No, so.
She the Tabataji Shemashi, she may want us to she to go to Kaimari, repair door to Yaris or
no, so.
So this is the Zanda. You know, you are much to the Karishina Shichi Sena, and Tadika the main Ali Doa to do in Anga and the Tinangi, the Chava Kadeka. Men of what you were in the Tina, the Chava Kadeka. Take a Chava, she was down. in the end, you did it, you go and solo madana, and the Kunu Chever, the Hato Marwa.
No, no.
But though you got the show, what are you to decide? The secret share, and the Gaga reason red or not. Remember Tonto, didn't Kaji Muvashi said, so some of the shit to have to shout.
No. As I just explained, that we all wish for happiness. Happiness comes from positive cause and conditions, and Dharma is, that positive, source. And we don't want pain and suffering, which comes out of negativities, and we must not create and accumulate them. So this kind of cause and effect, karmic cause and effect relationship, could be established through valid reasoning or logical, reasoning. Yeah, as Geshe explained, that when we look at all kinds of differences we find among 6 types of sentient beings, why there are too many beings in the hell realm, why are there too many in the hungry ghost, too many in the animal world, and too few in the human world, too few in the divine world, too few nagas, whatever the case may be. Why all these differences? Or even forget about the 6 types of beings differences, but even within human beings, right? Why some are doing really well? Their life seems to be running very smoothly. They have the health, the happiness, the prosperity, the success, and you go on, make the list. Okay, and why some same human beings, life is miserable. They have no success, and their health is going down the tube, and everything else is going. Why this difference? Okay, so if we don't. Which means that there are causes and conditions which produce all these differences among us human beings even. And those causes and conditions are nothing but different karmic causes that we create, the good and the bad, the positive and the negative. Okay? And so this can be really understood through intellectual thinking and through valid reasoning or logical thinking. And yes, we say karma is very subtle, and that subtlety of karma is the exclusive domain knowledge of Buddhas. Only Buddhas would know. What that really means is, when we think in terms of, what particular karma, when did you create it, under what circumstances, who were you then? So that kind of subtleties of the karma could only be understood and explained by enlightened being or Buddha, not by anybody else. But karma in general, do good, have good. Do bad, have bad, right? Good karmas produce good results. Bad karma produce bad results. That could be established through, logical reasoning. It's not a subtle that only Buddhas would know it, and we cannot understand it. And so as Geshe said in the Pramana Vartika text, valid cognition text, Sema in Tibetan. Where it is said that, a lot of the things happening in our life right now, we can establish them through our direct experiences, the good and the bad happening in our life. Okay? What did you do? Why you deserve something good happening in heaven? What did you do? Your life sucks. You can see it almost like through your life direct experiences. You connect the dots here. And but who, what karma will bring, produce the next rebirth, good and bad? Now that could be established only through reasoning, because we cannot understand that through direct experience, So the point I'm making here, bottom line, is that in general, do good, have good. Do good means good karmas, have good things, happiness and prosperity. Do bad, negative and wrong actions, and have bad, life sucks, misery comes. And this could be established through, logic, through valid reasoning.
No, it's just that there is that. There Joshima go to show the Shaman, Shima did a nigger, that did Tangi Kid, do the bed in town to Gani guys, that yes, all my dance and the Joshima tells your toes in the dinner pigeon card or what. She said that they love well. Become so lovely that you got it done. If I use your ching hair from the Nudijata,
Not really.
because it's a magic Gomoton in the five you share. Young judge bombed you said a Russian or San Luchet and the good Nudijata Jadu. This question is Terilla when you did all Shimatan and Joshima takes your top. Shida Kapu Tangu Yuzi Gangata, Yuzu Dribu, Chang, the Gangati Rosa, the Yuzi Didi or she said, Yuzi Didi or any Karsa Tejo Tabati, Shida Kapu Imita, any Tangiva Giro. I think it does not Tejo Malo Nana in that the odd way Yoma is a long dog, getting along Kingomara, Benata. Alishada Pasha, doing that the Pasha was make the last shattered out of the Gosu Simji the Ganga till the what we had got Taza Kondo the Ganga Yoru. You are the Gia Yomara. She's a Lumbosin. Sajo, Shajo, the Nujo show did the Shingmari. Tarish dish the Sunny did she say some of them Yoma Kadu bed level huge shower. She thought that. She the meeting the and should be up with the talk going to shoot over.
No,
which is that today young son, you know, in it that you just be pursued on out of Delia in the looking share do the story.
So as we take into account all these things we just talked about, right? And so we convince ourselves that this precious human life is greatly meaningful. Is a very rare and difficult kind of life, but for some reason we think that okay, now I understood it. Don't kind of bang this thing too much in my head. I got it. I'm not stupid. I got it. He didn't say that, but stupid. Yeah, Geshe didn't say that. But okay, I'll practice. Later. We procrastinate, isn't it? Okay, maybe I think next life I'll do it. This life is a little whatever. But that's the issue problem, because if we don't do the things we must do now, next life, we have no guarantee, and as a matter of fact, it's very difficult to find this kind of life again in the future, as if next life I'm going to do practice. Are you with me so far? Okay. So as the example Geshe has given is like, say, if you have like certain amount of money, let's say you have $1,000 in your hand. Okay, a smart thing to do is, don't waste it. More smart is invest it properly, right? So that you can grow your money. You say like, okay, I have 1,000. I'm just going to waste it and just kind of throw it away, in that sense. But then I do want 100,000. Well, that's a crazy thought, isn't it? How can you have 100,000 when you really don't care about understand the value of 1,000 in your hand, right? You're not investing. You're not using it properly. Yeah. So just like that, we have this wonderful, precious human life with which we can do anything almost, study and practice but we said, okay, not now, I'll do it next life. So we kind of like put our hope in the next life, which is a crazy thing because there is no guarantee in our next life we will have it again. But the human life, among all kinds of life, is so precious and wonderful in that we have the intellect capacity to understand, what is right, what is wrong. We have the intellect to be able to understand the practice of abandonment and the practice of adoption, isn't it? I know in English it doesn't come through so powerful like in Tibetan called lang thor, short word, which means what must I put into practice, adopt, cultivate, what should I get rid of, abandon, don't do it. That's what the lang thor means. Okay, so when we have such intellect and the ability to do it, if we don't do it now, we procrastinate it, we put our hope in the next life, that's not going to work out. It's not going to plan out. We can, we look at the animals, right? Forget about other beings like health and the paradise and all of those things. We don't see them. Animals we love, birds and the domesticated animals. Geshe didn't say anything. Let's say dog lovers and cat lovers. We have dogs and cats and chihuahuas and all of those. They're so cute and wonderful. But the problem is, they cannot practice Dharma, understand like us human beings. They cannot plan for the next day, right? Their life is very confined to what is now, here and now. That's about it. They're not going to plan for later evening or tomorrow because they don't have that ability. Whereas we human beings have that ability to be able to plan for, our future lives and so use the intellect and engage in the proper actions. And as we explained before, that this life is very meaningful, very difficult to find from causal point of view, from exemplary point of view, from resultant point of view, right? And taking into account all those perspectives, to understand the meaning of this precious life, the rarity and difficulty to find this life, and what we can do meaningfully with this life, we should make up our mind to use it meaningfully now, not later, not next life.
Oh, this is that Londa Chimanos or the showman Yanos, that the Tinjani guy, Yanya, said they'll joke about Tona. And said the door, the Alingele sent down in charge of charge and Dawanjo location. And Tini dogs I trip, but she used to say somehow did don't shake you the chow or did you know, at the Dharma this that did some Nunjuri wars. Karizana Kadi that he had 7 years at the Kadi, nothing he made the day on this one. And it is sign I did it, Joshua said, the bed, Nunji just a shot her. She said, "This is the deal. Show me that. Some number is the term. She showing you. Now she gave me. She said that showing you. Showing you that. And the Lord of jail, Lord, the Benjamin, she might say, you know, to go in Josh and go to the said the order of jail. She gets it. Any session and the take it. Your mother said, they made them. They made that in be. Tata Ran drove education was huge race. But that Tata drove some of the Kane Yungers and anyway, the Namjing image never show that Namjing image or what?
No.
She thought I never show did the Haku, Gange pages Hakuda. Mashi Marsan get me Jimara.
No.
Tita Namjing image I didn't got it. Or did she that the Namjing image I didn't even some race. But this some son and Metabas did that some of the Metabata Karsa, Tambo Shur, Loga Yungenship, part the children any told you say, Tarsan you design and teaching of Shen, and the Tanta Laru Shua Muzab, she will load the Nazu Hibodo. Shua Muzab, Mena, and show you have Karsa Shua Muzas, the Shia, she will. She said, Ship are going to show you Yomara. No, said, what is Shia, that Shia there. Be located of Shen, that was relating on to what the Silon that the located of Soro, the Shia, the Losika Yomara, for a Kadishan, a Hakoya, Moshe, Namjing made something. Karsa test 7 days, Jizimila, Gorna Shigua. Karsa not changing the relatives. Any Karsa Namjing made someness. Without coherence, she says, that's your young wish. No, sir. The Jizimila, sharing Jing and Gomja is. No, sir. Gomja and Yamato top of duty of that is another, and they do go ask him to see. No, sir. What is so? No, sir.
So as I just explained that, we may understand, how greatly meaningful this precious human life is and how rare it is to find, but for some reason, we pin our hopes in the future life because we justify whatever that this life, I have to do this, I'm caught up with this, okay, so next life I'm going to do this. As we already talked about this is not going to work out, okay, because if having found this life, if we don't do everything that we must do now, because in the next life, it's very difficult to find this kind of life over and again. So let's say we deal with that issue obstacle. Now we realize, okay, I have to practice this life. But then there's so many distractions in this life, right? Yeah, first I must do this, I'll practice later. I'll practice tomorrow, right? I will practice next week, something. So we keep on procrastinating our practice, and that is actually one of the biggest problems that we confront as practitioners. So how can we deal with that? Because we always keep on pushing our practice for later time, for tomorrow, is if we think about, death is certain, but the time of death is uncertain. We all know for sure we are going to die one day. As Geshe was checking over this, he doesn't think there's any human being who thinks that they're not going to die, right? All humans know, one day we are going to die. There's nothing mystery about it. Death is certain. But the mystery for us is the time of death is uncertain. Nobody knows when we are going to die. Okay? And so therefore, before death comes, we have to make best use of this human life, isn't it? I mean, there's no guarantee how long we're going to live. It's not as if we already know, okay, I'm going to live this many years. So first half of the year, I'm going to work for this life, I'm going to do this, then the next half, I'm going to practice. There is no guarantee. We cannot split our life like that, right? And because the time of death is, very, uncertain. With your permission, in my first footnote, I didn't add any footnotes of it, right? Think about the coronavirus, we know. Life can be very uncertain, and we see many people dying right and left every day, so we could be one of them. There's no reason why we are not. Anyway, footnote closed. As Geshe quoted from a sutra, he said, this death awareness, reflecting on certainty of death, uncertainty of time of death, and so forth, is a very powerful thinking and awareness. This can really bring change inside us. And in the beginning, as practitioners, why we get caught up with so many distractions is grasping at the permanence of life. If we think about impermanence, death and dying, time of death, uncertain time of death, then it can really motivate us to engage in the study and practice of Dharma. In the middle, that kind of awareness augments our spiritual practice, helps us to grow our spiritual practice, because time is precious. We don't know how long we are on this earth. Yeah, and even when we become Buddha, that awareness could facilitate, benefiting sentient beings. So throughout the pace, beginning, middle, and end, that kind of awareness of death and dying is a very powerful meditative, experience. As Geshe kind of quoted from his memory, Milarepa, the great yogi, from his, thousands of, spiritual songs. He said something like this, that in the beginning, I was so scared of death, and I ran away into the mountains to practice Dharma. Yeah? And then I contemplated about the uncertainty of time of the death. So with that, he said, I was able to gain certain realization that now I'm no more afraid of death. It is as if like he welcomes death, because he had gained certain inner realization that helps him to be able to, get rid of that fear of death. No. Something I learned from the previous explanation, like say, when it comes to Dharma practice, we are all equal. There is no age difference. We cannot set an age limit like, how for the election of the Prime Minister or the President, there's age limit, right? And those who are of not that age, they can run for the office or they cannot qualify. But Dharma is not like that. There is no age limit we can put here, and so we should think about that as well. And as Geshe explained, that taking into account all of these, vital points, we should make up our mind that we must practice in this life, not pin our hopes in the next life, right? We must practice in this life. And then we know that there's so many distracted thoughts come to mind, tomorrow, next day, we procrastinate. To counteract that, we said, I must practice it now. Now is the time I should practice, not later on. And then in terms of practice, there are all kinds of practices. We can think in terms of the three levels of practice: initial level practice, or small scope practitioner, kibuchung, intermediate level practice or the Kibuding, and then advanced level practice Kibuchimbo. Okay? And in this context, the practice that we should dedicate ourselves to is the advanced level practice. Why? Because among all practices, this is the best. We always want to the best, isn't it? If people wants to give us as gifts, they give us a choice. So here's a good one, here's a better one, here's the best one. Which one you're going to choose? You're going to choose the best gift, right? You're not going to go for the good and the better. You want the best. So this is how, in terms of practice also, we want to go for the best. And the best here means cultivating bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, awakened mind, altruistic mind, bodhicitta, Changju Jisem in Tibetan. That's what we want to cultivate. But to get there, we have to prepare our mind properly. This is how we are talking about these preliminary practices. Thinking about the precious human life is great meaning. It's a rarity to find. And all of this mind training prepares us to be able to connect to bodhicitta, so that bodhicitta or altruism will be our core practice, right? That's a minor practice. Why? Because bodhicitta can lead us to the enlightened state, the best outcome. We can create all positive causes and conditions. Some will bring positive outcome, but the best positive cause for the best result is bodhicitta. So this is how this lojong practice, mind training practice, is the best kind of practice.
我这大都先头给你听说中间呢，嘛听他的拍的开始的，你个呀觉得刚刚上，刚刚上的他休息啊，的他这这头回事了。现在确实加他这头了，现在的浪上些他这头没上，那地头呀谈他了，那千万没到噻，那是因为的，还是千万没到噻的，三个的时候了哇。现在这时候呢，咱一把钱领都没得哇。 千呢，千没到身边去老是，人千没身边，可是啥？千马上就马这边人民，人民地区碰触他们就早些去什么当，千没到吧，上边恐怕是朋友地区留着他们就周围我就些吧小我少，但这来他们的我们开始现在呢。 那个的开始考虑呀，中庸的南北是写的，你考有的是那等同的那个了，你考中庸那个同的那个了。现在这个小没到，马上那边用的这个的，菜了等对嘛，修路的就，那边你把工资早晚就这修路的，小没到吧，三种的呀，我介绍呢，留着刚刚主要早晚就做的，我这个在小城里培养的，马这边因为这个。
So, just to kind of highlight the 2 points that we have been emphasizing today, is once we deeply contemplate the precious human life that's greatly meaningful, yet very difficult and rare to find, then we feel the need to engage in spiritual practice, isn't it? We appreciate the practice because this is how we make our life most meaningful. But so once we develop that interest to engage in practice, then again we get distracted by other things like, okay, I'll do it later. I know it's important, I must do it, but I'll do later. So we procrastinate it. To counteract that procrastination, laziness or procrastination, we have to think about death and dying, particularly the uncertainty of time of death. Everybody knows we are going to die. Okay, there is nothing mystery about that, but the time of death is mystery. It could come anytime. So before it hits us, we want to practice. This is how it helps us to be able to engage in practice now. Now is the time because death could come to us anytime. So as Geshe explained, those of you who have got the text in your hand, we're at the bottom of page 25. The big caption reads, how to think about the brevity of this life, death, and impermanence. So the 2 major outlines right at the beginning is, we have to consider the disadvantages or the problems of not thinking about death and dying, because that lack of that awareness is the source of all kinds of mistakes and misery and all other things. We have to consider the benefits of contemplating death and dying, because that is the awareness is the source of how should I say, following the right course of actions. No.
What is Garza? The Tibetan Samba, Chua Medabasem, Dayang, said the Lulunju, Yen to Sol, Shabba Ongi, Tida Chawala, Java Shavani, and lovely Yamazabi, Shawal, Talu in BS, they take Kiba Menos, Shawal Tas, Jidan Miss Church in the Majina, Chase of Shawal Tangit, Gangata, Dagro, Majin Guy.
No.
Said that Shum, Majid Tayadi, so said the DG there in the year to the trade or race, or take some of the Jigo Tower, did Tanadi. In show without some talk, said, told him a race.
No, sir.
That I heard that didn't in the bed. Laying about son, and Jawatom took us, I talked on a bed. You saw Chandy, Lino, Shama, Chamgo, what did he? Chums you tell some and talk over Mother. And it didn't say the Yajini Tayadi in Ganga. King did the Lord Janga, your mother, standard, tell sometimes, Karza. Church must be Shisana, and then you know that Beethoven again, and Benamia, Dentro, means I cause them again, Deshe, and then you know the interest again, the Begal, the Washington, and the Bacteria may sort of Shaggy Sunny, or Tindesi, she not show my jill. Said the Gita, in the Chevatella, she not in Shivata, this is your Marisha.
No. We are on top of page 26. So as we said, that death is certainty. Everybody knows we are going to die one day, but the time of death is uncertain. And we are scared of death. In general, all people are. And that doesn't need any spiritual training or to be able to understand that. In general, people are scared of death. Why? Because then they think that the death separates them from all the things they are dear to them, right? It separates them from their loved ones, from their families and friends. It separates them from their prosperity and their possessions. And it even separates them from their own body. So that's why people are scared of it, isn't it? So that everybody knows, but as a spiritual practitioners thinking about death and dying, we have to go more than that. You just simply think that, okay, I'm scared of death because I will separate from my family and friends, and then all my bank balance and all the riches, and then also this beautiful body I have, I'll lose it. But that is not a special way of thinking about death. Everybody knows that, isn't it? But as a spiritual practitioners, the deeper way of thinking about death and dying is that if I don't create positive actions now, if I misuse this precious human life in doing the wrong thing, negativities, these bad karmas will precipitate my rebirth in bad migrations, such as the hell, hungry ghosts, where I will end up for eons and eons, and then being in those states, I'll end up creating more negativities, and then basically I get locked in for more eons, okay? And so that's a scary thing, isn't it? It is as if we are not going to see the light of the day to be free from samsara. Once we get into bad migrations, we stay there for eons, then we create more negativities that will keep us repeating the same cycle, and the possibility to be free from samsara and find nirvana is a far away goal, isn't it? So that should scare us, as a prisoner. So therefore, I must make meaningful use of this life which I already have. Because, if we keep repeating the way we have always done, create negativities, achieve rebirth in samsara, and then under the influence of afflictive emotions, and then we create more contaminated karmic actions, then we go round and round in samsara. We're just kind of repeating the cycle over and again, and that's where the misery never ends. That should scare us. Thinking about that, then we said, okay, I'm fortunate, I have this wonderful human life, I have met with holy Dharma and qualified teachers, and now is the time to practice. Yes, I can. This is how we should think about.
这些呢，偏头啊，叫我们个偏头嘛，是就是面个啥的是吧？新州的，但现在就是面那点那个价值呗，现在这点那个价值个啥呢？现在就是讲的，甚至些只要现在偏要个特别些要嘛了，些他切上着是吧？我就是没有啊，你看这家伙是呢，但这样我这他听见就刚刚上一这个了。ene digba de shaba machine de digba mo sa de khorse ene shegu shungna ene te de ma de jawa muta me ba le yin so do ya de de shig shig de ta ri de jo to ya de le ya ene shu shi ju ma ju na ta be nga to da tang song sam shi ti shi ya jing se de shu shi ma ju shin na ta ga se le ma so de de ji ge ma do ji shi shi ya ji wo ji kai ma re shi.
So as I just explained, that everybody pretty much is scared of death, and that's fear is more based upon separation from all their loved ones. When the death comes, it's going to take me away from my loved families and the friends and my possession, the bank balance, and my beautiful body and sexy body. He didn't say that, so I'll add that one there. But that's a useless thinking. Anyway, that's a fact of life. When you die, you are separate from everybody else. That's nothing you can do about it. Okay? As Bodhisattva Shantideva says in his Guide to Bodhisattva's Way of Life, as Geshe quoted from his memory, if something can be done, why worry? If nothing can be done, what is the use of worrying it? Death will happen. It will separate us from our loved ones and our beautiful body and our bank balance, resource, everything. That's it. Nothing you can do about it. Okay? But having found this precious human life, we can do something about it. We can engage in the positive actions so that not only we take care of this life, but we can also take care of our future well-beings, isn't it? But if we misuse this life, having found such a rare, meaningful, difficult life, and create more negativities, we will end up in much more suffering in the future. That will be a real tragedy, isn't it? For a spiritual practitioner, that is a real tragedy, and that should really freak us out. Having found this human life precious, we are going to misuse it or not use it properly, then we end up in much more suffering. That should freak us out, scared. Okay?
되게 디부스다는 마음도 셔도 지에 매우시 다다다 메다바 그사네 에디 자와시면 되와 두기 시는 지그레서는 디지자디어 무시 자와시면 동조하기 게드랑도도 지쇼로 게드랑도도 여보시도나 에니 시간을 때고 짐고 사로로 그때 가정에서 가서 다다 시간 지고 시가 시간 미지고 고세 시기도 그때는 있어 셔디 그러니까 두 예매대 개발시도가 그래서 다들 시험에다가 이제 직당 대신 개발된 쪽 디바스 배터리 누르선 엔 개발시 보시는 시는 그 뒤군라디 게들랑도 야보시 게들랑도 야보시는 시가 지금 말이지 다 대가스 이년데 제저거리는 세트 누르선 그 가세 심대 가세는 콜펜트가 영어라 신이 시도 그러와 어디 거기 섬도 또나 계속 리뷰 예매 개발도와
There is a big difference between the fear that people have in general about death due to their attachment to their family, loved ones, possessions, bodies. They think that once a death comes, it's going to separate them from everybody else, and they're really scared of that. They don't want that. But that kind of awareness and the feeling is just useless. You can't do anything about it. Okay? It just only makes you more scared, and it's useless thought. But whereas, if we think about death and dying, uncertainty at the time of the death, then it's meaningful in the sense that now we can do something about it because we are not dead yet. So therefore, we can prepare ourselves to engage in positive actions so that we can prepare for this life, we can prepare for the better future lives as well. So therefore, thinking about death and dying is a very meaningful reflection. It's it can produce positive outcomes. So there's a big difference between two types of fear of death. As Geshe quoted from his memory, great Kadamba Geshes are very fond of saying that, right now you should fear death. But at the time of the death, you should be free of the fear. Okay? That's what the Kadamba Geshe says. Right now we should fear the death, and then we should act accordingly, engage in practice. When the death comes, welcome aboard. Don't be scared. That's how Kadamba Geshes practice.
What is Korsa? You share show me those and Sugone. Korsa. Showing Noji Shami, shared this group, did Namjunia. You were Chewa, Noji Emerson, why she the show the home was Lamin Saji Jiwaredo.
No.
She's showing yes, that showing yes, it did dear Yassi. Mended can't my you dear or say,
No.
Yamara comes Italian, skating it to me. Never said that Namji Shami said. That day I know, did not get that solo Jabecos, Jatos and they long of the sick bushes of the shades over the day Yomar one. Set that thing ever made them, Namji Shamis. That is the share sure about coming, maybe and say, I think I don't want to go again. Goes on trading it is over.
No.
What that Yin Yanari, Jichala Yanari. She said the cock the Ganga Shakin with it. Sungsung of the Kia Yomarwa. Nothing on the Domuko, Musum to show them get some that. She was the show motor coin, maybe said, didn't do or what is your Dakasa. Maybe some less. Tamboni showing your wounded. Lucy Dragilanja, surely mandated some less. That got it. Much of the Ayamarista, shade you some said inside.
No.
Kaya Sanji Ran Sanji, Sanji Nanji in the Chang. Kulindene, Ponzena, you will merge you go share sauce. You do count in the Tatiri, count near count in the Luca like near count in the or Kardashian got it. That did a person in there. Yan lupa dil shinishi kumor se inte ganga de doro. This is what that. It liu ka de liu dire la na shi kumor se. O dire da ene nira da ju ma minji til yo ma de si ganga shi kumor shi de ro. Yeso tu ko yu ko de ne ja shi was mande de tinye le. Ko de na shi music be Sajo de yo mind, Panala Jatan and Mirunam, you said, you know me, says was ya. O did it, Takaji, Luling, Luke Shani, Javalim, Luke Shani, Anti said, do that, did you my Yorwa? Your addition, Shimuko, Luling, yours, no, your mother. And they are Lumba Dilshin Shumartas. The Devajam Sergeant Tankin is in the statue made of such a and yet, get a Shigumaris, a little Lumba Yomaris. What is it that the Kieda on the most of the top the Irish draw? What is it that show me that something that show a touch you yet because down on the Jotoro. She does Terishim, Sanishim, so the Dredging of Narshe, any or the show without Maguji Desho. She had a little
we are on page 26, and you find three key points about death and dying meditation are, how should I say, set there, which are the same as we find in the Lamrim, stages of the path leading to enlightenment. And the three key points are inevitability of the death. Death is certain. The time of death is uncertainty. Uncertainty of time of the death. And at death, except Dharma, nothing can stand by you. Nothing helps. So those are the three key points. I'll repeat. Death is certain. Time of death is uncertain. At death, except Dharma, at death and after death, except Dharma, nothing benefits you. Okay? And so these points are already extensively discussed in Lamrim, Stated Path Leading to Enlightenment treatises. And so the first one is the inevitability of death. Death is certain. And we look at it from number of points view, levels. Death is certain because this body will fail. There is no body that we can have which can withstand the death. Okay? Of course, we know that some of us have a more stronger body, healthier body. But that being said, at the end of the day, the body will fail. Okay, there is no body throughout the universe which is death-free, and so this body will collapse, and therefore death is inevitable. Now, as Geshe made this point, that everybody understands. One day life will come to an end. We will die, right? Nobody can doubt about it, And but then also there is no location anywhere where you can escape death. Okay, we can say like, well, if you can go to this particular location or locality, then you will be free of death. You can hide there safely. No, you cannot. Okay, so we have some citations from collected words of Buddha, here translated as special verses collected by topic, in the middle of page 26, and I read, if Buddha's solitary realizers and hearers have all abandoned their bodies, what can be said about ordinary beings? Okay. So if these holy beings have abandoned their bodies eventually, now these ordinary bodies that we have, of course this will fail eventually, and there is no body that can withstand death, or that's a death-free. So we should think about that. Then the next one says there is no location or land where you can escape from death. So and there is again from the same source quoted. No location is immune to death. You can explore the outer space. You can submerge into the ocean, go deep down in the ocean. You can explore in between the great mountains, and in all directions there is no place, there is no location where you can escape death. So death is inevitable, death is certain. Yeah, think about that. So as Geshe said, the problem with us is not that we deny death. Death is certain, everybody knows that. But the time of death is uncertain. So that always gets us it. We said, not today, not tomorrow, okay, not day after tomorrow. So this tricks our mind, and this is how we get caught up in our own loops, and therefore we don't meditate on the uncertainty of time of death. We'll keep on believing the same thing. Not today, not tomorrow, not day after tomorrow. Okay, so we have to break this pattern, thinking. So we have to contemplate the uncertainty of time of death. So we said there is no any kind of particular body that's free of death, because every body fails at the end, and so from that point of view also death is inevitable. There is no location in anywhere in the universe where you can escape from death, because no location is death proof, and so therefore death will get you or get us anywhere. Now the third point is that there is no particular time of death, isn't it? It's not like we can say, well, people in the present are dying, but people in the past, did not have to, or in the future they really don't have to die. Okay? There is no season for death. Any season is good season, the death comes. Now in the case of crops and flowers, some flowers will grow particular season, and then other seasons they vanish. It's not like death. There's no such thing like, wow, here's a season, watch out, death season. Wow, now you can relax, no death season. There's no season, no time. Death can happen in the present, it happened in the past, it will happen in the future. No.
ben şohini dire da gaje şohini renam sonu yuva şohini be çok şabu yoyuna en son tiki de da 그 부사장 요마라 어디서 다 세다 뒤에 제가 이 부엔 타서면서 된 쇼카제네 동바인데 보여주러 쇼 강간지나 아니 부사 요마리시 어디 용거다 레드도 가르서 뜻도 가르서 루시 뭐 싸와 사 찾고시 때봐 저 룩소저 저 시메리서 저 많이 보세 아니 가서 님보던 때봐 찾고로 와 너무 찾고 너는 마게바 팬에 와서 좀 메워서야 되와 어디 소도 샤 준비시 신도 책과 책이 또가선 되바래 건지 조투부 도셔야 되와 조투부 도셔야 되와
no
어제다 에네 나르징 로 가서 로 자의 신 개바다 연가 단지 저 타마트 원라 조베 줘봐 또 인도 봐 no indoba zeda nga mena indoba shawani mai no jebo shebti in jiwa shebu shebu de da wonte de da jobe joba to indoba zeda nga de me indoba mai no shega ina gawa na wa de shawata goba jebo shebu bo ode da chiri shedri brish suzu diki de so jita nga 먼저 가사디 제가 나시기 되게 희망 지더라. 스타야며 러시아부기 되지 코저도 루루시는 부사 가사지예요 말이. 근데 그 스티팔리시아 타셔다. 어쨌든 이제 먼저 제가 나시디 시보들 타야요 말이지. 어디 이제 위디칼 먼저리가 되셔야요 말이지. 어시다디 메저 쇼이 가사 너희도 대신 다 됐어요. 나 간지 다스나 조베 쳐봤어. 저 somsi 동바이는 야 소지를 저셔거라.
나래.
근데 딱도 와세데다는 야 제그 창보를 히라베는 거야 매워서 탑시신 봐. 탑지고야 드려요 말이야. 아시고라. 너희도 왔다. 너희도 다 등산 쉬어야더라. 그래서 제가 두나 이렇게 녀버테네. 아니 배 몽골 타야 쉬우셔라.
나래.
어떻게 녀버테야 말이죠.
맞아.
근데 제가 되면은 이도 올라와요. 사다 제다가 되면 산이 힘무고서요 말아. 내는 내가 나서 차가게 미시 거의 시합에 미시요 말아. 그래서 이게 제다 애니 가서 이거 되긴 다디는 제다 제가 나지 디는 제가 나와도 시와디는 ene liyo chesa de tharia yo mari se doda de je wa so pediye de ga khol thaji de ya me de ga da tha rishu shibu shi yo ne khol pu ya su za jing ya shi me na ji je ga na si di shibu de jing ya yo mari khol le on di wol do jong ne me ji khapti cha yo mari o ti je de wa
we are on top of page 27. There is a large passage cited from the Sutra of Advice for a King, and Geshe-la's explanation pertains to that sutra passage. And so the main point is that death is inevitable, and nothing can stop, nothing can, avert, death. So the metaphor or the example that's used is like, say, imagine that there are these great mountains, and you are in the middle of this mountain, and these 4 mountains in the 4 directions are running towards you. So you are sure to get squeezed, right, and die, right, as these mountains run towards you and clash together. There is no escape, isn't it? Yeah. So in the same way, the 4 mountain-like things that really brings death for sure is we have the suffering of birth, suffering of sickness, suffering of aging, suffering of death. The reason why we experience all these sufferings is because our rebirth is determined by afflictive emotions and contaminated karmic actions, Lenyun in Tibetan. Yeah? So any kind of rebirth produced by these factors, has misery. Right? Misery of birth, misery of sickness, misery of aging, misery of death. We cannot escape from this. None of us could. So just like these mountains are very solid, they're very dense. they're very like firm, and nothing can kind of destroy them. So in the same way, nothing can really prevent the death. Nothing can. It's not like, say, if like you look in the four directions, from the three directions, these mountains are running towards you. Except one direction is free, and you're a very fast runner. You're Olympian. You can run away and escape. But there's no such thing, isn't it? You have so much power that can use your power to destroy the mountains, something like that. You cannot, and you cannot buy, buy away death with the money. How in sometimes, some criminals are given death sentence. Well, then maybe money can buy, like you can bail out, you can, lift off the death sentence, but there's no such thing, lifting off the death sentence on us. Death is sure to come, and so there are no medicine that, can stop death. Yeah, medicine helps us to, have a little better health, live a little longer, but eventually medicine fails, There is no mantra or ritual that guarantees you that you don't have to die anymore, so be happy. No, there is no such thing, And so when we think about all these things, the conclusion is death is certain. There is no way to escape it. This is a reality, And why? Because we have been repeating the same cycle of rebirth under the afflicted emotions and contaminated karmic actions. And unless we put an end to that, this is what it's going to be, No. So we will stop there today. Out of the three key points, death is inevitable or certain. We just talked about that. Time of death is uncertain. We talked a little bit before, but we will continue that. And then at the time of death and thereafter, only Dharma benefits you, stand by you, nothing else can. Okay, so we'll continue discussing this next time. So we stopped at page 27. We just finished that last passage quoted from the Sutra of Advice for a King. Okay. Any questions? Yeah.
Yes. So one of them says, if we analyze the process of rebirth from the perspective of dependent arising and accept that analysis, can Geshe explain the actual process of, she says, collective energy or energy moving from one complete deceased sentient being to the next? How does that transfer of energy work? What does it look like on a gross and subtle level?
Okay, can you simplify that question? There was too many things, and so what is the real question?
So I guess she's trying to see how, explain the actual process of, I guess, from one deceased,
how bring from one birth to the next, is that what?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The country Tangbo Shue did it again. Target on the country sugar again. That's another discount the Rovata, because of Chiwas the Never and Namching Yeme again. And they get some jet on the church or the Mena and the Kiawashuma, the Kutu Dramish Lavis again. So the Kiawach in the Kiawach Landangi, the Kulam Chio again. Or Kulam the Contest in the Decolias, Deshe Chuksnat Kurvesa, Kiawachik saw or again. Kiawashmas Lingu or Kulam resort, that in some cases again. The rest.
The jaws are the
La again. Kiawachin chip to go along, chip late.
This is that shit is all because you are made the Moros, Mamasha, no, you say, they are the country required domesty, Kiawas do war. That your land, you look to Carson and that Sawa later, you move you ten.
Not so.
Or Tination wars, you move going on, tell the Lesa. That moves with care of the younger Kawachi in little ten Jewish.
Oh, so. As we just talked about, death is certain, it is sure to come. When that happens, it's not the end of storyline. Story continues. Yeah? And the example we said that if we have lit a candlelight or butter lamp, when it finishes, extinguishes, nothing goes hereafter. That is the end. But the life is not like that, because something goes from one life to the next life, and that could be established through reasoning. How mind or consciousness travels from one birth to the next birth. Okay? So what determines the next birth, good or bad? It depends upon the type of karmas that we have accumulated. The samsaric rebirth is determined, as I said, by afflictive emotions or delusions, because delusions motivate us, instigate us to do the karmas, isn't it? So mostly negative karmas, and these karmas will determine, precipitate our next rebirth. So this is the process, how, karma, the type of karma that we created now, and that gets activated at the time of the death, will determine the next life, okay, next rebirth.
And then just one more question.
Yeah.
So another student, this is a few pages earlier, page 19 in the book.
Okay.
It's usually kind of like the first page, and it says here, there's a mention in the second paragraph.
Yes.
That says that mentions about the 6 kinds of conduct. And so.
Oh yes, yes.
So the student is asking if can specify what the 6 conducts are. What are they?
Oh, I see.
They were covered briefly, but not fully.
Okay, yeah. That is shabi ken nam yana mena was ke kazang anzu di nima kashi da tindang yama dwa injirwa gen. Di shabi koran shun na liya di dwa gen kashi ko dang yet ke da chuji takda beji tigma de song de sia di imba ke lama silim be girwa gen. Namdan masum roba gen. Dene nganzo ene kaso kunjo sumli ya dene kamdo chego le soba ge dene kaso mende phyugo slab roba ge de shuli ya choba thuk sayan slab do ge choba thuk la slab do ge choba ane de gi ane kaso rang da sing tuen shambo sum dubya ge ane sowa dab go le slab ge choba thuk go ne slab ge rang da sing tuen shambo sum dubya che do ya ane di chego slab choba thuk sayan de de she chi konzo sab ko ma roba ge di khar la go resa ke
jowe shudu se
jowe shudu le go jirwa ke no ske
ya ne go chedar
chaba da lao
ku de chaba da chaba yo chaba se
andi ke le ri ma sum se ke kale kora deshe mo go chero ke ka konzo chu de sang go ro ke le ro ke a che tangbo de ka cha
la
chidor che ro ke
tangbo de ne go chedar chaba se wa
okay ke le ri shu ke le los ke ne kha ke le ri shu cho ro ke
chaba yo me okay kuben ze ba sha do wa no je tene sha so da de so yo mare ko je da dine jowe shuru na ngam di tige de ta kha ji jowe shuru thuk se di jowe shuru se
ta ine ken thu ten nang ma ro ke na da la jowe shuru ken ten na sa ro ke thu ne
da tige de kis ga do so da thuk da da nge ten ma so sha sa chwa phwa ze yo re
so ke 내가 지도 쳐봐 찍으러 와게 고선도 그 텐다 맞으러 쳐봐 유엠마 봐 그거 쳐봐 맞으러 와 아니
쳐봐 요 그거 저 샤바디 세서
몰라지 아니 차세서 그래
차사야
차세 아니 시제 멘데데 여러분
멘데데
쉐베대로 알로 류 남랑 쳐도 류 남랑기 쳐든데 세대로 오게 여러 요말 봐
너 쳐기도스데 곰자게 자다데 다 예네면
다 예면에 게디 슈르에 디 가제 디 차고 슬랍신 들어가게 닌데 요 레스트라게 다 콘자 마잔 지로와
콘자 라르는 저외 슈루스야 돼 다와리 인 동게 어디 텔 저외 슈루스 되게
켄자 저 남유 텐데 그러 다 쟁미지리 지금 okay, that's right. You on page 19, on number page 19, in the second paragraph, there is a mention of 6 kinds of conduct, right? I think this is a translation of 6 preliminary or preparatory practices. The Tibetan term is Jorwe Chutu. And these things are explained in the context of Lamrim, Stages of Path Leading Enlightenment treatises, and which it includes. Geshe says he doesn't remember all 6 now, and hopefully we'll find again. What it includes is, first thing is, we have to make our place of practice neat and tidy, right? Clean the place. Okay? And the second one is, we should set properly all the objects of refuge, representations, setting the altar properly. Okay? And then the third one is we set the offerings properly, the offerings that we have acquired through proper pure motivation, not by deceit and manipulations and hidden agendas and all of those things, pure offerings. And then the fourth one is doing prostrations, right? Now there's two more left, okay? So we'll figure out, we couldn't remember on our feet right now. And so those are the 6 preliminary or preparatory practices that's mentioned, okay? We are going to do the Manjushri prayer and the 1 stanza long life of Song Rinpoche and the remaining stanza dedications, okay? Kange Lode, Dimnyen Dinde, Nyenda, Namda, Rabsebe, Chinyen Dungun, Chishen Seche, Nije, Toga, Lim, Kanda, Sebe, Zenra, Mare, Mendon, Dungen, Jisebe, Rosa, Gunla, Boje, Yanla, Tuju, Yangden Song, Roda, Shedo, Junze, Mare, Munze, Dungen, Yugo, Chinyen, Junze, Rajena, Dunen, Laje, Saju, Yende Lunzo, Geshe, Juda, Jambe, Yangla, Du, Omara Bazana, Omara Bazana, De, Zenden, Kye, Kenra, Vese, Dalu, Timo, Mimba, Rasene, Kada, Tenje, Shun, Nawan, Zendo, Bode, Gazi, Udon, Begadi, Gesan, Pongwe, Chido, Mimba, Shin, Temba, Zinla, Wando, Kichebe, Changye. Wande, Changjo, Simjo, Rinpoche, Maje, Pana, Kejoji, Kewa, Nyamba, Meba, Yang, Kone, Kon, Pewa, Sho, Doni, Tawa, Rinpoche, Maje, Pana, Kejoji, Kewa, Nyamba, Meba, Yang, Kone, Sho, Zao, Xin, Beijing, Joshi, Mendo, Zhang, Rira, Lingxi, Yinde, Genba, De, Sanje, Xinto, Mide, Viu, Dogen Nanda Xinla, Cheba, Sho, Kangri, Rawe, Kowe, Xingang, De, Pendang, Dewa, Mangli, Zhongwe, Ne, Jere, Shawe, Siden, Bat, Tenjo, Je, Yidang, Guru, Rana, Man, Daya, Min, Ge, Wa, De, Ye, Nyoro, Till